Don't try this at home. Hello everybody, welcome back to Ray's World. We are going to be melting some copper today. I've got a whole bunch of just small lengths of copper piping that were actually big long lengths of old copper pipe. This is actually still good. It's still usable pipe. I just have had it in the basement for years and never used it, and I thought let's melt it. I've also got a bunch of old connectors that I've had forever, and I'm gonna melt these as well. And the reason I'm doing that is because we have copper pipes in our house, but if they need repairing, I'm just gonna go to PEX. PEX is a plastic water pipe, and it is much more durable. It doesn't corrode like this, and so everything that gets repaired in my basement from now on is going to PEX. So I figure, let's melt some copper. Now my last copper melt was my very first melt, and this is what I got, just this ugly hunk of copper that I had poured into the water, and it didn't melt all the way. And I think the reason that this turned out the way it did is that it had partially melted, but I hadn't given it enough time to really melt and get really, really hot and fluid so that I could pour it. And so copper melts at about 1,085 degrees Celsius. My furnace goes to 1250. We're just gonna have to crank it up to 1250 and give it some time. What I may do is cut this in half so I can get it in the crucible and melt that as well. In addition to that, I stopped at the tire store and I said, hey, you guys got any of those lead tire weights just laying around that you want to get rid of? And he gave me an entire bag of, I think they just dumped their trash bag, but it's got lead weights, just a ton of lead weights. There's also valve stems and other stuff in here. I think it's just basically their generic trash can. So I've got to go through that, and I want to pull out all the lead weights. I've got a good fan in the garage, and so some of these are steel weights, or steel, oh, I see what it is. So they're steel and lead. Okay, so this connector right here is steel, and this is the lead. So there's my neodymium magnet. You can see it is attracted to the steel, of course not attracted to the lead. So we'll have to break those off. We'll have to clean out and get rid of all the brass, all the valve stems. And I'm wondering, these valve stems, they look like brass, so I may go through, I have a little valve stem screw, I may go through and unscrew all of those and just start saving a little jar of brass so that eventually we can melt brass. I can probably take a razor and cut off the rubber. Yep. Looks like it. Let's cut it in a couple of different places. That's not too bad. That'll give me something to do while I am waiting on that copper to melt. Anyway, enough of that rambling. Let's go melt some stuff. All right, well, we are up to temp, and I've been spending my time flattening the pipe. I cut them into a smaller sections, but been flattening it so that they fit in the furnace a little better. And this copper's been in there for probably about 10 or 15 minutes, and it is nice and hot. And so it's not really melting yet, but it is probably getting close. So let's get that lid closed. All right, well, as suspected, we are getting absolutely nowhere. It's just not enough heat in this thing to efficiently melt copper. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch over to these lead weights. Now there's this little steel piece that is actually molded into the lead weight, just like that. So the steam you're seeing, by the way, is from the coffee. As you know, lead is toxic, and especially lead fumes, and so I have a fan going. You might be able to hear it. Let's fill this up with lead, and let's pour a couple of lead hearts, because I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get quite a few. That piece had some sort of plastic or something on it. I couldn't get it off, some kind of adhesive, so it's just going to burn off and be nasty. Again, another good reason to have the fan going. Let's let those heat up. Beautiful, nasty fumes. I didn't do anything with the temperature, so that lead is already melted. Now those steel pieces, we're going to want to get those out of there, so I'm going to see if I can fish them out as that melts. Those pieces. They are steel, so they are definitely not going to melt. Okay, we got a lot of lead in there. This crucible is almost full. And we do have quite a bit of slag on top. Let's skim that off. All right, let's go ahead and heat our mold. We are going to pour a lead heart. Okay, I've actually opened up the garage doors and another door just to get some good cross ventilation in here, because it was getting pretty bad. So my crucible just fell all the way into the furnace. I had to go fish for it. Okay, you should definitely not try this at home. All right, well, after all that, here they are. This was the first one that I poured. The back of it turned out really cool. Check this out. It's got like a secondary pour line. Like, I poured it and then started to freeze and then poured more, and then it got all these bubbles on top as well. So that's really cool. This one was the second one, and it was quite a bit smaller because that's all that was left in that crucible. And then here's the third one. It's got that nice rainbow pattern. I just ran up the stairs, so I'm kind of out of breath. Let's see how much they weigh. Troy ounces. Okay, here's the first one. 17.55 Troy ounces. Holy cow. Okay, number two. 12.22 Troy ounces. And number three. 16.75 Troy ounces. So 16 and 17 is what? 33 plus 12 is 45. Like 45 Troy ounces of lead. Very, very cool. Let's bring in everything. Here is the pewter right there. That is the pewter one that I did. And then here's all my aluminum ones. There's the polished one. Sanded, rather, not polished. And the star. Very cool. Having a lot of fun with this. None of them are stamped. I've got to get a set of stamps so that I can at least get their weight and the material on it. But yeah, tons of fun. Don't try this at home. Lead, guys, very dangerous. The fumes are very, very dangerous. I could tell that I was getting a little bit overwhelmed by the fumes and the smell. So very glad that I opened both garage doors. Take care, everybody. Don't try this at home. Lead, no bueno. Probably won't be doing that again. These will be the only lead ones I have. See you later, guys. Bye.